What I want to do is look at how white can possibly give a handicap. Everybody looks at this and teaches black. Nobody bothers to teach poor old white. It's poor old white all the way through the game. When you start off and you look at the board, there are 9 black stones occupying all the key points on the board. Poor old white doesn't stand a chance. Poor old white's going to get absolute thrashed, and there's nothing you can do about it, at least on the face of it. When I teach people at the Sydney Go Club, I often describe this position as the sort of position you get when a rich uncle or auntie dies and leaves you their fortune. The trouble is they don't have a chest of gold or a pile of gems that you can call upon whenever you need. What they've done is left you a business, and the business, whilst it's worth a lot of money, is worth absolutely nothing if you cease trading. Black needs to continue to make the situation better. Black needs to make his business, his 9 stones, work. So black's advantage in here is that he's got a network of stones that work together. White's only chance is to really to break that up, to subvert it, and to make as many of the stones separate from the others as possible. There will be things that black will get. You cannot take everything away from black. Well, not to start with anyway. But you need to look at this from the realistic perspective. It's not a short-term game. It's going to last a long time because your opponent has so much of an advantage. So poor old white, where does he start? Well, the traditional move is here, and the meaning is very clear. It's separating the Q16 from the Q10 stone, and it's one stone on the board. At this stage, the ratio is 9 to 1, and the ratio after this is 10 to 1. The ratio won't get any better for black. The longer the game goes on, the smaller the ratio will become. When there are 209 moves on the board, there'll be, if none have died, 100 for white and 109 for black. That's a lot closer than 10 to 1. So at this stage, white has to be careful. White has to take care of his stone. White's stone at this point, when you look at the very first stone that's put onto the board, it's like walking into the garage or parking lot in the middle of the night to pick up your car, and you find 9 gentlemen standing around sharpening cleaning their fingernails with their flick knives and just looking at you in a possibly friendly manner. White goes in fear, and what's worse is white's just stepped through the door and out comes another one. So white is behind the 8 ball in more ways than one. So what Rodney did was fine. Rodney ignored the stone at the top. The argument from white's point of view here is straightforward. You want to try and kill me? Go for your life. I can fight like a tiger. I'm going to rip your arms and legs off. I don't need to defend it. It's total bravado. But that's not white's problem. White needs to break up the network. In order for this whole thing to work, white needs to understand what black is about, where black's strengths and weaknesses are from both a strategic and tactical point of view. There are 4 horsemen, like the horsemen of the apocalypse, that help white. Those 4 horsemen are misinformation, complexity, uncertainty, and choice. The more misinformation you can give black, the more things that black starts to imagine, the better it is for white. The more complex you can make the position, the better it is for white. Black cannot fight as well as white. So if you can make the position complex, your opponent is going to make mistakes simply because of their lack of skill. Uncertainty. Don't finish a position. Like the stone at the top, the R14 stone here, don't finish it. Don't live with it. Don't play the normal things. Leave it there. Give yourself opportunities. Give yourself different things. And the last one is to give your opponent lots of choice. This adds to the uncertainty and complexity. If black has a lot of choice and needs to pick something, the more likely black is to make a mistake. And that's what you need. You need mistakes from black. So black strategy, keep the stones connected. White to try and cause as much confusion, havoc, fear as possible. And black needs to play steadily. Unfortunately for white, black is playing steady. This is not a good sign. This move I don't like. I don't like it because white is already separated, and if black just plays a very simple move here, white is going to have a lot of trouble because black is keeping all the network together, and one move is going to be an attack on 2, possibly 3 positions. You need to be in a better position. If you're going to play here, play high to stop the connection. You don't worry about territory. Do not worry about territory at this point for white. White has no territory. White has no chance. But white does have the opportunity to give black, let black help him. So playing low, I don't like. What I would have done, just looking at what I do, I would have played here. I would sow the misinformation that white wants to play in the gap between the P14 and Q10 stones. So playing at P13. So if black comes back here, white will do this. And suddenly there's panic. This is exactly what you want. I don't know exactly what will happen here, but what I want to do is create as much of a problem as I can for black and to attack the stones as much as possible. So this top corner, I'm going to lean on the top corner and try and come back and play across the top. If black plays over this side to connect his stones together, leave it. You've got to take the initiative, you've got to change and lead where the game goes. White needs to have Sente almost all the time. So that's when you come into here and black stones get separated. Now if we come back to the game, what actually happened, white plays here and black now sees the first glimmer of hope. Black is totally strong everywhere. White is weak. And then black comes back and defends. This means that black is seeing his stones as weak, and that can be used. That is an important thing that you can use. So white comes out. This is a saviour move. This has helped white. If black had played up here, then this is a fairly strong attack against the M3 stone. If it doesn't get out, then K3 is going to annihilate it. So if we just park a white stone here and black does this, white can't escape, and white has an awful lot of trouble making 2 eyes in there. He may manage it if black's kind, but it really shouldn't happen. So this is the sort of move that black should play, because this stone is here. As it was, we played the defensive move in the corner, allowed white to come out, and white has now got the first victory. White has made a cut between 2 of the stones. Black comes back here, which is a good recovery. What happens in this bottom left corner, is a few missed opportunities for white, I believe. This is not a good move. You're not going to make 2 eyes at the bottom. If you're concerned about your stone, then jump. If you're not, then jump on the other side. The question is, can the K4 stone be killed? If white plays here, black can simply play this way. And this is not a problem. White can't separate the black stones. There's a cutting point here. So it's perfectly reasonable to play this move. So playing here helps white. white should come out and then sit on the top of the stone. Black will almost certainly play at d6. The corner's still open. If something happens and you can't capture the stones on the outside, white can still come in at c3. So what white does is play here and separate his forces. This is not a good idea. White comes up with a sequence which is not as good as it could be, and actually helps white. White manages to recover this situation to come off and play on the side. The move at c10 is a good fighting move, but I would be looking at bigger fish. I would have played here and then played this. You try and create a bigger mess, create a bigger thing to capture on a bigger scale. Now, there's no doubt that black can waltz his way out of here. But by doing this, the two stones down the bottom are going to die of natural causes. If black's not careful, they'll just sort of drop off without having to do anything. Unfortunately for white, black can just sort of do something like this and the wheels fall off. But that's what you're looking for. Black played the chicken move at r3. Black played the chicken move at c3 and lived and grovelled in the corner when he should have been out and fighting. So you can rely on that. Black is not going to come out here. He's already demonstrated his mindset is, oh my God, I'm going to die, etc. So this is a better way to go about it once you've isolated the stones. In this situation for black, what should black do? Well, I'd be sorely tempted to do this. White can come out and take the corner. White still needs a move on the inside, but black is building a nice little square. Let's assume that sort of white does something along these lines. If black cuts at c3, white can still survive. So let's assume that white doesn't care about profit, doesn't worry about the stone at c4, which can drop off, but wants to carry on attacking. The problem is that these two stones are too weak. It's fairly obvious that they can be captured. And if you just play the running move, then your opponent can play the running move. So I think that's a better way to go for black, leaning on the other side. If white comes underneath, then black can play this way. There's a cutting points, and then come down. And again, black is building and keeping his stones connected, pushing white back against the edge. So I think this is the wrong direction. If white comes out, if white plays in the other direction, then black can capture the f3 stones, stabilise his pieces at the bottom, and white's still got to do something about the group on the left. So let's assume that it lives. White can now, well, where'd he go? Sport for choice. Oh, you can just play here. If you're concerned about the stones in the middle, you can play here, which attacks the two white stones. White's runs, you come back here. So white's got a string of stones, he's got a dead one, black's got a big corner, white's got a small corner. White can do things like this. Oh dear, what a terrible shame. But black is going to be safe. Black has got his eyes. It's not a problem. So no big issue for black. Black is connected out. Even if white manages to connect underneath, even if black plays absolute total chicken moves, you can still connect out underneath. By the way, if white plays here and black comes down, white can cut and white is dead. So it's not a really brilliant attack for white. So this is the direction that I think the black should take. And it's why I don't like the separating of the stone at C4. I think that's the wrong way to go. Anyway, on with the game. Black takes a chicken move. White gets out. Black comes across the top. But it's too small a scale. You need to create the bigger things, which I've already talked about. So, here, and this I don't like. If you're going to play across the top here, play this. All right? Black is almost certainly, black is chicking. Remember, black played the 3-3 point down at R3 point in the top bottom right, and he played the defensive move in the corner down the bottom left. So if you push against his stone, he's going to play there. This is far better because he's going to come back. And then you can start applying this and attacking and seeing what you can kill or how much havoc you can wreak in the area. You stabilize the group at the top. You stabilized it because you recognize that your opponent is being a bit chicken, and so you can take advantage of it. Playing here takes the complexity away, simplifies it. It makes it quite easy for black. And now this move is wrong because you're being chicken. White's being chicken. White needs to boldly go where no man's gone before, boots and all, charge, and just try and create as much confusion. A far better strategy against black, particularly when black has played chicken moves like the R3 move in the bottom corner, which I've already mentioned. So this just gives profit for black. White comes back and lives, and now white comes out on the other side. This pushing up with the stones has helped black. It's helped black's central area. At this point, I would have played here, and if black wants to capture the stone, I take another move somewhere else. Okay, so I've taken 2 moves. Let's count how much value that has. If white saves his stone, if white manages to connect, he's going to make probably 4 points across the bottom, and he saves the stone, and there's probably about 6 or 10 points in there that black doesn't get. So roughly counting, maybe 15 points, maybe 20. But in order to get it, black needs 2 moves. Black needs another move. So that's 10 points a move. White has made more than 10 points with the first move. If black comes back, white's group at the top is now safe. Can't be killed, if I don't think so. No. And now what black can go off and do something else. The problem with the situation is that black doesn't have anything that's weak. The weakest stone is the one on the middle of the side here. And there isn't an easy way to attack it without making the correct reply obvious. So that's part of the issue of playing and separating your stones instead of creating a bigger framework. If you can create a bigger framework and create uncertainty, you can make your opponent fearful of what's going on, then you have a better chance in the game. So I don't want to go any further with this. I think I've said enough here, but white needs to look at making the position more complicated. White needs to separate black stones and take control of the game. White needs to be able to leave positions sooner and make the situation better. So this move, black ignores. This move, black can't ignore. And you can come back and play your attacking moves. This move, black plays, and white's not taking the advantage of it. Anyway, as I said, I think I've said enough here. The key things for white: watch out what your opponent's doing. Try and gauge their thoughts about their own stones and about your stones. Any chance you've got to sow misinformation, any chance you've got of introducing complexity, anything where you can give them choice and uncertainty are brilliant, because they all play on the fear. White stones are strong. White stones are invincible. You just ask people. They know. You don't need to They're going to win through under all circumstances. It's wrong, but that's the lesson that black has to learn. White needs to recognise how much black knows, look for the weaknesses, try and play on any weaknesses, any misunderstandings that black's got to create better positions for themselves. So, hopefully that will help everybody. And yes, I'll see you next time.